Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's just 2 minutes past 2, so we'll get started with our follow-up Friday. My name is Denise. I'm one of the resource specialists here at the Long Island RBERN for Eastern Suffolk BOCES, and my colleague Pat Parpunis is also here with us today.
Morning, everyone.
Hi, Pat. So our follow-up Friday is in response to our Tune-In Tuesday this past Tuesday, and I see many of you were able to join us. And if you haven't, you can go over to our YouTube channel and view our discussion from Tuesday. We were sharing with you some of the different library services that teachers can access for free, or that they may have access through their contract with Eastern Suffolk BOCES, Nassau BOCES, or Western Suffolk BOCES. All right, so without any further introduction, we'll begin. Here is our website, so esboces.org/Long Island, so LIRBERN, and Pat will put that in the chat for you. So if you're interested in additional webinars and offerings that we have, you can go to our website and check out our catalog on My Learning Plan and register there. We also have our Twitter handle here, so it's at LIRBERN, and if you're not already following us, we invite you to follow us because really, we retweet a lot of what our region is doing. You can learn from one another. All right, again, here is our contact information. While we are working remotely, we are available throughout the day and responding to our emails, so contact us if you have any questions. All right, and here is the link to our YouTube channel. It's brand new. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And when Pat gets a moment, she will put the bit.ly link in the chat so that you can go directly there. And many of our presentations are recorded and they're posted there, including our presentation from this afternoon. This quote here comes from the book Fahrenheit 451. And it says, there are worse crimes than burning books. One of them is not reading them. And right now, our students are in a particular unique situation where they're at home and they may not have access to physical books. And so many of the resources that we shared on Tuesday and that we'll share today is getting students access to digital books and reading those books and continuing to improve their literacy. Right, so here's our agenda. I know many of you have been joining us in the past few weeks, so you already know what to do. But in the chat right now, use the chat to put in your full name, okay, the name that you use when you register through My Learning Plan, and that's one of the ways that we will be able to confirm your attendance from this afternoon's session. Okay, so make sure you go to the chat and put your full name. That's how we will confirm your attendance through My Learning Plan. In a moment, we will have our guest speaker, Melanie Yoakum. She is from a Texas-based company, education center entitled Region 11, and she's going to be sharing some different resources from her website. We also have Sandy from the Sagamore Middle School in Sachem. She is a library media specialist. And Mandy from East Quogue Elementary School in the East Quogue School District. She's also a library media specialist who's going to be sharing some resources with you. And throughout the presentation, please use the chat to ask any questions that you have. And at the end, if we have more time, we can share more resources that any of our participants may have and answer any questions that you have as well. All right, so without any more of your time, we will get into our first presentation. I think Melanie is here, right? I saw Melanie's name.
Yes, I am here.
Hi, Melanie. So Melanie
Hi.
Yoakum, so she's here all the way from Texas, I believe, right?
Yes, Texas.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome, Melanie.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So Melanie, maybe I'll let you just take over. Do you want to share the screen so that you can tell us a little bit about you and also about Learning at 11?
Yes.
Okay, so let me stop sharing and you can share whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can everybody see that? Can you guys see?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So guys, thank you so much for having me. talking to you all the way from Texas. I feel honored that you would ask me to come. So just to share a little bit about myself, I have been serving English learners for 22 years. Here in Texas, we have shifted from the term ELL to EL, English learner. And I know every state kind of has different verbiage. So as I run through some of these things, feel free to ask me to clarify in the chat box if you don't understand some of the acronyms I'm using. But I've been teaching and working with teachers for my entire career around English learners. And I really do feel like it's my lifelong purpose and mission to advocate for English learners, because I'm very, very passionate about this. And just to give you an idea, our service center, we work under the Texas Education Agency. So I'm not sure if your state, I'm assuming, has kind of the same setup, but we have the Texas Education Agency, and then our state is divided into 20 service centers. So I've given you a little picture of Texas down there, and we are 11, that little spot at the top, and our region covers, over here to the far right, you can see in blue, it covers 10 counties, and we have 77 public school districts, 17 charter schools. We also have private schools. So we cover a very large area of about 10 counties. And just to give you an idea about our population, in Region 11, we have just under 600,000 students. And you can see the balance between the 40% white, and then we have 36% Hispanic, and you can see the other areas as well. 16.5% make up our ELLs, our English language learners. We are number 4 in Texas for the number of ELs participating in bilingual ESL programs. Even though you can see our area is not as large as some of the others, but we are sitting at number 4 in Texas for ones that are participating. That's at 98,000. So to move into the resources we have at Region 11, this is our at-home learning for English learners, and I'm a party of one. So when this all came about, it was just hit the ground running and start creating. And I've put QR codes on each of the pages, so you can take pictures and it'll take you there. And I can also send this in a PDF form at a later time for that to be accessible for you guys. But I'm going to roll through some of these slides, and then I'm actually going to take you there to show you how to access it. I think it might be easier, to show you how to get there. But you can see I have the arrow pointing. We have English learners, and it's pre-K through 12. But also, you may be interested in other documents that we have in there that are, pre-K-12 curriculum and content documents. This is one of the pages that you'll find in there, and it's Let's Practice English. This is a 3rd through 5th grade example. You can see the focus is for our beginner English learners. This is not, meant to be for students. It's probably, more at your advanced high level. This is for your beginners. And when you scroll through the documents, you'll see that I have suggestions for getting started, such as schedules. That's probably one of the biggest questions that I had from parents and teachers, is how much time is really feasible for students. And so I've given suggestions, and suggestions also based on the age. You'll see as you move from the early grade levels into the mid-grade levels into the upper grade levels, that these documents are adjusted based on that audience. And you'll see along with that routine and that schedule, you'll see tips for parents. And, parents, they may or may not be familiar with what a school look like. And so just giving them tips that it's okay to take breaks. It's okay if you can't read or write in English, right? Read and write in your own language. And then giving them ideas about translation. And then if they're going to use videos, giving them the tip to pause the videos occasionally to discuss what's happening. And also recommending to turn on video subtitles so they can read what the video is saying, doing it in both English or doing it in their native language. And this is a read, talk, write document. This covers all grade levels, and it's really just about covering those language domains of reading, writing, and speaking, and giving them suggestions, read alone or read to a family member, read to your stuffed animal or pet. And then giving them ideas for talking and writing at each of those grade levels. Again, those have been adjusted based on that audience. And then giving them a few other ideas for activities. I will admit, these were done so quickly to try to get things out that I will likely be going back and doing some revisions and just, you know, putting in more pieces to these things. And then finally, I have Let's Practice English with Pictures. At this time, I only have the pre-K through 5 finished. I'm working on the secondary one, but this is really, you know, if they don't have technology, you can see I have a column for that and giving them ideas for finding pictures, to talk about it, to label it and write about it, and giving them those sentence stems as well. But then if they do have technology, I've given them some great resources. If you're not familiar with Once Upon a Picture, I love that site. It's great for going for pictures and ideas for sentence prompts. New York Times also has picture prompts. And so you can see that I've given them suggestions on how to talk about it. You know, use a phone or device to record yourself, and giving them questions to prompt their thinking. And then all the way down to writing about it and what would that look like. And again, that's trying to meet the needs of both students that do have technology and students that don't. And then also there's another document on how to translate. And this has several ideas. This is not actually the complete list, just because I have a screenshot there, but on how to translate Google documents, how to change the subtitles in different languages on YouTube videos, how to use your a Google Photo Translate app, talking points. If you guys are not familiar with talking points, it's a lifesaver. There's no need to use Google Translate to communicate with families. It automatically does it for you. And then some how-to videos. On the how-to videos, when you go into those, as well as some others that I've uploaded, I have been screen recording myself showing others how to change the subtitles in YouTube. No language, I'm not talking, I'm simply just showing, and also showing others how to change the speed in a YouTube video so it can be slowed down, showing how to use your phone to translate, and just other different ways, because that way it's not me talking, so they don't need to know the language, they can simply follow my directions. So real quickly, I'm going to take us out of that, and I'm going to take us to the Learning at 11. So when you search Region 11, Learning at 11, you'll see this is our Education Service Center. And up pops our Learning at 11. And so you can go into our site there. And when you go in, you're going to see at the bottom the modules for pre-K 5, 6, 8, 9, 12. Also bite-sized PD. There may be PD options in there that there's no need for you to register. You can simply view other resources and specialized support. Of course, these areas are going to be probably more specific to our state as far as compliance. But I want to take you into our pre-K 5. And again, as I mentioned, there are things that are not just EL related. So you're going to see modules for all contents and grade levels. So depending on what your role is in your district or charter school, these are a great resources to go to. And we plan on continuing to be updating these through the fall, because we're really not sure what the fall holds for us. And so we still plan to be offering those. But here you can see we have the English Learners tab. And when you go into that tab, you're going to see all the documents that I just talked about. So I talked about the Let's Practice English, Let's Practice English with Pictures, no technology needed. I've also had some districts translating for me. So I have one in Spanish and Vietnamese. And then you'll also see in our 3rd through 5th, the same documents, but of course those are adjusted for that grade level. No tech ESL activities by language. I'll show a slide in a minute. You guys may have already be familiar with a teacher in New Jersey that has been on this mission to translate no tech activities into multiple languages. And those are all there. I also have a slide in my presentation today so you can get the direct link to her site, but those have also been included in mine. And then our how to translate options, which is what I just showed you. And that also is available in Vietnamese. Our highest populations in Texas are, of course, Spanish, because we are neighbors to Mexico, and then Vietnamese and Arabic are also other languages that are prevalent in our state. But as you can see here, here are some of these YouTube videos where I have screen recorded myself and how to do these things, and even how to translate our Learning at 11 site. And Canvas is a platform. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but Canvas is a platform that we use. It is a self-paced platform where students or teachers can go in and build. Students can go in to complete lessons, but teachers can go in to build out lessons. And I've also done that in Vietnamese. As you can see, we have other areas too. So that is our site. And I also wanted to share with you that I have an English Learner Google site that has lots of resources, and you are welcome to go to that. You're welcome to share. I'll tell you, it's a living document. There are some things that I know I need to add to it. I try to keep the things that I put in there free. So I don't know, some of the free things that have been coming out, I don't know that I will add them, because if once that free trial due to COVID-19 ends, then they will no longer be free. So I try to keep most everything in there free if possible, but it is a living document. It constantly changes. You're welcome to share that with whomever, and I'll continue to be adding to that. These were the lessons I was talking about, ESL at home, and these are 8 weeks of tech-free lessons, K through 8. There's also a 9 through 12 version as well. However, the 9 through 12, I don't believe is maybe translated into any other languages, or very many, if I remember correctly. But this teacher in New Jersey, who I would encourage you to follow on Twitter, has been on this mission during this time to have these lessons translated into multiple languages. And she just continues to get that support. And so there's so many languages that these documents have been translated into. And my hope is that, you know, when we do return to normal school, that all these great things that we have learned about, these things we will be able to continue using and be able to print out and continue our learning and help our ELs. So if you haven't found her, I highly recommend you check her out. Also wanted to show you our Texas Education Agency resources that they have put out for us. And these are ones that you can go to as well. And even though it does say supporting English learners in Texas, I think there are a lot of great things in there that you could mimic in your state or in your school district or charter. So I've included that resource as well. And you'll see tips for families in English that have been translated into Spanish, Vietnamese, and Arabic. And then also some COVID-19 resources. Some of those resources are specific to COVID-19 being free right now, but the resources that are provided are also elementary, middle, and high school. And so you can find lots of great things on their site as well. And then this was a document that they just released, Tips for Families with English Learners. This is just a snapshot. There are still some other pieces to this, but it has also been translated into Spanish and Vietnamese. This might also be something that you want to mimic in your area. And so I wanted to share that with you as well. And a final piece for our region, or actually for Texas, these are resources by region. So you can follow this link and you can click on any of those regions in color up there, and it will take you to their Education Service Center site and their COVID-19 resources. So, you know, I would encourage you to go and check those out and see what other regions have and what they're providing for their English learners in that part of the state. And finally, I want to share this with you because this can all be so overwhelming. I don't know about you, but it was great. You know, in the beginning, it was like, oh my gosh, all these great resources on Twitter and Facebook, and it just kept coming. But at one point, I finally got really overwhelmed because it was just so much. And as a parent at home with my 3 children, you know, my husband and I are both teachers, but it can be overwhelming for us to be working and teaching, as well as trying to teach our own children. And so I would encourage you to really think about simplifying your digital language. These are our English learners, so most likely their parents are English learners, right? And we do not need to make it complicated. And I wanted to share this with you. This is something that I had come across on Twitter from this teacher at this high school that had created this 1 week through a Google slide where it's very simplistic. It has arrows, it has pictures, click here, and it's very simplistic for someone to follow. And even as us as educators, it can become overwhelming. Luckily, my youngest is in 2nd grade, and it's been very helpful because we have one platform we go to. It's the same routine. It is every week, and so I don't have to worry about what to do. I can remember. I would encourage you that when you do set up your digital learning, that you really think about making it a one-to-one-to-one. And what that means is, I have a snapshot up here from one of our other regions in Texas, is what's your home base going to be? Are you using Google Classroom? Are you using Seesaw? What is it that you're using? But make it one place to go if possible. And I do understand your district or charter may have, expectations, but if all possible, make it one place to go. And then think about what is going to be your communication strategy. How are you going to communicate? Keep it the same and consistent. So really thinking about the one-to-one-to-one is what's the learning aid, what's the calibration method, and what will the learning experience be? And just remembering that routine is key. It's key for our English learners, but it's also key just in these times of uncertainty. You'll notice when you go into My Documents, it's very routine. It's the same thing each day. And there's a reason for that, because then they know what to expect. And also it's consistency. So I would encourage you, as you start thinking about, or we're already in the midst of it, but as we move forward, what could you do maybe differently? Also, some online professional learning. I put out a SMORE. This is the 3rd year I've been doing Succeeding in a Diverse Classroom. You are welcome to follow that. If you're not into SMORE, that's great too. If you want to join my email group, you can email me and I will add you to my group. But I put out this SMORE every month for the last 3 years. If you look at the one that I've included here, it is specific to COVID-19. But each month, it's not me blogging. It is giving you an instructional tip that is maybe specific to right now. And then I'll give you a new technology tool. And really, it's very basic. It's not meant to overwhelm you. But all of the past issues can be found at the bottom, and you're always welcome to go back to those. And I want to leave you with this. Dear teacher, I wish you knew that. Love your ESL students. I want you to think about, if your students were writing you a letter, what do you think that they would want you to know? What would that be right now? Would it be that, we're just doing the best we can? I'm having to teach my siblings. I'm home alone. What would that be? And when this is all over, what do you want them to remember? Because the heart is what weighs the most. And in a lot of my trainings, I talk to teachers about the affective needs of students. And that is my #1 tip when teachers come to my trainings about English learners. The affective needs, that is the #1 thing. Nothing else will come without that being taken care of. And so often, we stress over when we get a new student and we have testing and whatever it may be. I always tell them, smile. Smiling is free. And, meet those students' affective needs. That is what's most important at this time. The learning will come. But if you are not meeting those needs, the learning will not come. And so I would encourage you during these times. I know it's stressful for you. I know some of you students maybe have not even been reaching out to you. You haven't been able to get a hold of them. And we really want to be quick to say, oh, they're being lazy or they're not doing anything. But we really have to consider what's going on at home. And really, when this is all over with, what do you want them to remember? And I would take you back to thinking about your educational experience and what do you remember? Do you remember the content or do you remember the teachers? And finally, this is, you can reach me. These 2 Twitter handles are both of the accounts that I run. Again, there's my link to the SMORE. And on the far right is a link to our bilingual ESL program support page. That does have compliance on there, but there are also things on there for instructional resources. So, don't ever hesitate to reach out. And if you want to join that SMORE and you don't want to simply just follow it through SMORE and you want to actually be added to an email group, then you can email me and I will make sure and send this presentation so everyone can see that. Do we have time for questions?
Yes, thank you, Melanie, so much for all this great information. And yes, we have a lot of questions. Can you share?
Okay.
Can you share the presentation? And I did put Melanie's Twitter handles in the chat. Melanie, where is what is your email address?
Okay, I'll put my email address in here in the chat.
Okay. Thank you.
And what I'll do is before I send it to you to share with them, I'll add it to one of the slides.
All right, thank you. Yeah, because there's many people who are interested in being added to your listserv. So, and they're putting their own email addresses, but I think what Melanie had said is to email her, and she put it in there, myocum@esc11.net.
Yes.
And then you'll add them from there, right?
Yes, and I see someone asked about a YouTube channel. I have mine, but I have been contemplating and waiting to ask permission to set up one that is more broad, like for English learners for our Region 11. But I do have a YouTube channel, it's just Melanie Yoakum, but I'm hoping to set up one pretty soon that is specific to our Region 11.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once that becomes available, you can, I know, Melanie, you'll email myself or Pat your presentation, and then we'll share it on our website. And then, of course, this presentation will also be featured on our YouTube channel, and I can send you those links so that you can share that with your region as well. And whoever else, like you said, this was created in Texas for Texas, but it's for ELLs, and our ELLs are everywhere, even here on Long Island. So we appreciate you sharing.
So thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's such an honor to come and speak to all of you and to collaborate with other advocates for English learners. But yes, like these things are not specific to Texas. Even though the sites I've given you, they say Texas, we know that this will reach anyone. And I would just encourage you to continue doing what you're doing and try not to be too hard on yourself. Because we're all doing the best that we can considering the circumstances. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for sharing these resources. And the resources that you shared, they're all free resources or free for now?
Yes, all of the resources on Region 11 are free. So you guys will have access to those as long as they have, them posted. But I will tell you that once we start shifting back into normalcy, whenever that is, all the things that I've created will move to my site, which is to the right here. You can see that's the Region 11 site. I will move all of those things there because they're going to be useful well beyond this time. So all of those things will be accessible. But yes, everything is free. There is nothing on there that is well, there are a few resources in the documents that maybe during the time frame they are free, but for the most part, most of the things are free.
Okay, and so that your Region 11 website is esc11.net, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I can put that in the chat too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I think we answered most of the questions that are from our participants in the chat. Again, some of you are putting your email address in the chat. What you need to do is email Melanie, and then she will add you to her listserv. Okay, and Melanie's email address is there. I'll type it again for all of you.
Hi, do you mind if I ask Melanie a question? My name's Kathy.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
I'm going to just keep asking people. I mean, I'm trying to get, like, you had a beautiful layout for your kids. We use Google Classroom, but they can't read the directions. And I'm having a hard time finding something where I can put an immersive reader in without having to post it to the web sort of thing or publish. What do you use or for something?
So you're talking about readers, like embedding some type of reading activity into your assignment?
Well, even getting the directions read to them, or when a teacher assigns a story, they have the capability of pressing an icon and it's read to them.
So what I've been seeing, and this may not answer exactly what you're asking, but what I've been seeing happening in my own child in the assignments that they're doing is the teachers are doing a lot of really quick little videos and explaining the directions. And so they're embedding little YouTube videos that are very short that almost model and give a very slowly and pointing and showing directions and putting that in. So before they even start, they could click there. Is that what you're asking, or I'm trying to make sure?
No, and it goes from little ones to older kids, same issue.
Okay. So you're looking for embedding a reader in there. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because they don't have the parents to be able to sit with them and explain everything, so they can't get.
I think that's going to be hard because of copyright. We have to be very careful. Does your school district or charter, do you have a subscription to some particular reading product?
A reader? No, I know it's a Chrome, it's an extension. There are specific programs that have it in them, but I'm trying to avoid having to go into a teacher's classroom, copy it and put it into another program and then put it back in for the student. I just want it to be an option when, if a child needs it, that they can click on a reader and the directions could be read to them.
I'm not aware of anything like that, but that doesn't mean there's anything that but that doesn't mean it's not out there. I just have not come across that.
And nothing against you, because I'm having a hard time finding this.
Yeah. There's the Google extension read write. Are you familiar with that Google extension?
I'll look into it.
Yeah, it's read. And while I'm still on here with you guys, I'll find it. I'm going to put this in here, but I'll find it and stick it in the chat. But there's a Google extension called Read Write, I believe is what it is, that I think might meet what you're wanting. So I'll put that in and see.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
And I think also some other participants are adding what they use and what they know. So some suggestions are in Judy mentioned that in PowerPoint there's a new feature where you can record your voice. So that's something that you might want to do to help explain the directions. Also maybe use Screencastify to again display the activity and read the directions. And something I was doing, because Screencastify has a limit on, they have a 5-minute time limit with their free version, is I've been conducting a Zoom meeting just with myself. And then I share my screen and I talk and explain, what I'm doing. I give the directions associated with that activity, and I record it. So there's no time limit there. I'm not talking to anybody, but then I can take that recording and I can share it. So those are some of the creative ways that we can, get around it for, like you said, the students who don't have someone at home that's either home to explain the directions, or can read them in English, or, or is able to work with their student at that time. So those are some creative ways some people are meeting the needs. And then I
want to mention too, if you don't mind, if any of you on here have a MacBook or a Mac, you can actually, you don't need a program. You can screen record yourself, and that's what I do. It's very easy. It's Command-Shift-5, and the little bar will pop up, and you can actually record yourself, and that's how I do it. I don't use another program. So if any of you do have a MacBook, there is a way to screen record yourself without a program.
Okay, thank you. And I just realized, so my Screencastify account has been set up for a while, but Mandy, who's going to share a little bit about her resources in a few minutes, said here that if you upgrade your account, you can put in this code cast_COVID, and they will remove the time limit. So that's something to think about as well for Screencastify. So thank you. And Mandy put the link in the chat for us. So thank you. And if you have more questions for Melanie, you can that come up during the remainder of our presentation, you can put it in the chat. And Melanie, do you have some time to stick around with us for a little bit?
Yes, I plan to stay here the whole time.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. This was a great
Thanks for having me.
So whenever you get a moment, you can just unshare your screen, and then we'll move on to more resources. Thank you. Okay, so next we have Sandy from the Sachem School District. Sandy, are you with us? Let's look through here. Sandy, you might be on mute if you are with us. Okay, so maybe what we'll do is while Sandy gets ready, Mandy, are you ready to share with us?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So I'll unshare my screen. I'll just give it over to you, and you can introduce yourself, and then we look forward to your resources as well.
Okay, great. So before I share my screen, hi everyone. My name is Mandy Van Auken. I am a library media specialist in East Quogue Elementary School. So what I'm going to share with you today are things that I've been utilizing both before this whole distance learning thing, and now, especially that we're distance learning, I really rely on these resources. You may be familiar with some of them, and if you are, I'm sorry if I'm redundant, but maybe just hearing which lessons I use them with and things like that, you might be inspired to have a similar lesson or something. So let me share my screen. Okay, let me. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we see it. Thank you.
Great. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so just to start really quickly, I'm not going to go into depth about these ones, but these are specific book resources that I've been using, and that's Epic Books, Tumble Books, and believe it or not, YouTube. With Epic Books, you can see in this little picture here, we have the Explore option. You can go down to languages, and you can, there's 3 different languages, 4 total, including English. So there's Chinese, French, Spanish, and English. All of my students have access to Epic. It is free as long as you make a teacher account. Again, this is something that's very common and a lot of teachers do use already. But still, like I said, I want you to know that I do utilize it a lot, and I will usually use this to just let students do any free reading because they have the choice of, whatever they want. Tumble Books is a paid subscription. However, I get it free through Westhampton Library. And what I'll do with Tumble Books is for my K through 3 students is I will find a book that is a read aloud on Tumble Books, and I'll post the English read aloud, but I will also look for the, my population is mostly Spanish speaking students. Their parents are Spanish speaking. Not all of them can read or write in Spanish, but they tend to understand it if they hear it. So I'll post the English book version read aloud and the Spanish version. And lastly, YouTube. I have a lot of ENL teachers reaching out to me saying, oh, the 5th grade is reading Walk 2 Moons. What digital resources do you have for my students that I work with? And believe it or not, I go on YouTube and I tend to find Spanish read-alouds for these books that are class reads. And especially during this time, I really rely on YouTube for read-alouds. And I know that there could be copyright issues and things like that, but I can't reinvent the wheel. And if it's on YouTube and it's there and I watch the videos and make sure that they're appropriate and that it's what they're looking for, I do share that information along. So now these are some resources that I use with my students for research purposes. So on the VRC, I really rely on Britannica School. And I rely on FactSite, Lingo 1, 2, 3 a lot. And I'm going to start with those ones, and I'm going to just show you those. Sorry. I'm going to get rid of that one. Okay. So with this, it's obviously Encyclopedia, an online encyclopedia. But what's great about it is that it's obviously appropriate for a wide range of grade levels. So even though it says elementary, when you do a search, for example, I had a lesson, April was Poetry Month, so I had the students research a poet. For example, Emily Dickinson is a poet. What I love about Britannica is that it's appropriate for elementary school students. I can press the play button and it will read it out loud to the students.
Emily Dickinson was a U.S. poet known for her simple works about love.
So it'll highlight the sentence, it reads to them, and that's great for students who are struggling readers or ENL. But in addition,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the students do have this option.
Yeah, thank you. I've been picking at it, so that would be good for you to put it away. Thank you.
Where they are able to go to the Spanish version. Like I said, my population is mostly Spanish speaking, and they are able to utilize.
No, thanks. I'm going to have some of the chicken and rice from yesterday.
The same exact resources.
Sorry, Mandy. Let me
That's
just,
okay.
I don't want to interrupt you, but one moment. The let's just, can everyone just make sure that they're muted while Mandy is presenting? So, let me see. Actually, I can mute it, right? Okay. Sorry about that, Mandy.
No, that's okay.
All right.
So what's great is that it's the same exact resource, but just available in Spanish. Granted, they don't have every single article in English and Spanish, but what I do ahead of time is if I'm assigning, like I said, I did a poetry unit. I knew Emily Dickinson is available on the Spanish version, and now my students can read it and listen to it in Spanish, which is great. And like I said, I utilize this resource all of the time, whether in school or out. The next one I really like is called FactSite Lingo 123, and I use this specifically for the 6th graders. Many of the 6th graders in New York read Percy Jackson as one of their class reads, and we did a Greek mythology project. And what I love about this is they were all assigned a specific Greek god or goddess, and on this site, it's simplified language, that's one. 2, if you hold down the text, it will bring up the Spanish text right underneath it. So the student could, you know, if they are able to read in English or at least a little bit, they can attempt it. And then if they're still struggling and they are able to read in Spanish, they're able to read it that way. Or if we could switch it by this little language button up here. And now the default is Spanish, but if they click it, it will be in English instead. The only thing I don't like about this is that it doesn't have that reading option. And of course, I think the listening piece is really useful for a lot of students. But for those who are able to read Spanish, I utilize this a lot. And like I said, with my 6th grade students, they tend to be able to read in Spanish at least a little bit. And they tend to, when we do use this resource, they really don't have too much trouble between going back to English and Spanish. So other resources that are not on the VRC, but I have been utilizing is Pebble Go and Common Sense Education. Pebble Go, I don't actually, my district doesn't pay for. It is a paid subscription, but I'm taking advantage of their free trials. And if you're not sure how to get that information, I can get it for you. But with Pebble Go, I tend to use it with K through 3. So this is what it looks like. Pebble Go itself is a K through 3 resource. Pebble Go Next is for grades 4 and up. But this is just the homepage, and you can see already that I have both my English and my Spanish options here. I had the students pick an animal they wanted to research, and for the students that needed it, they knew that they could go to, they can click the Spanish option. And what I love about this too is that it does read to you.
Anfibios. Aves. Clasificación de animales.
So they're able to listen to everything on the site as well as read it. And on every page,
Partes del cuerpo.
it will, you will hear what it is
Telarañas.
that you're highlighting. And it's an easy switch back to English or Spanish as needed, which is right up here. So this is a great resource because it's very easy to see, it's very user-friendly, and the students that need or prefer having that Spanish option, it's not like they have to go looking for the that button, or they have to go to a different website completely. It's just, everything is just at a click of the button to change. And then lastly, I've been utilizing Common Sense Education specifically for digital citizenship. And these are pre-made lessons. This website is free if you sign up. But for 5th grade specifically, we are doing distance learning, and I wanted to make sure that my students knew how to act and use the internet well. And of course, we cover this in school too, but I thought it would be a good time to really focus on it. And with each lesson on here, what's great is that you get everything you need. So you'll get slides, you get videos, and as soon as you press on it, you get the options. So what I'll do in Google Classroom is I'll download everything for English, everything for Spanish, and I'll upload both so that the students have the option to watch the videos in Spanish. They can read the slides in Spanish. They can complete the work in English or Spanish. It's whichever they prefer. And I really think this is a great resource because, again, the students are able to pick and choose which they prefer, which they're more comfortable with, and it has everything that you need. You don't have to recreate your English handout in Spanish. It's done for you. So those are the resources that I've been utilizing a ton. I know I talk really fast, so I'm sorry. Does anyone have any questions about any of those things? And again, sorry if I was redundant.
No, that was great. Thank you, because we don't always have we never have the same participants joining each week, so it's always new resources for someone or a good review for others. So just to clarify, we have some questions.
Sure.
So fact site lingo, that's part of the VRC, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're in Eastern Suffolk BOCES component school district, or if your school district has a contract with Eastern Suffolk BOCES, you may already have access to the VRC, and I would just contact your librarian to get the login information, right? Because Mandy, I do know, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this out loud, but on your website, you have the login information for the VRC.
Yes.
So if someone from another district uses your login, will that just capture data for you, or it will not be allowed, or it won't work?
No, it's a login. So if they go through the EastQuag, they click on the EastQuag link and they put in the EastQuag information, username and password, they'll get in just fine.
Okay.
So
maybe, and then, it's good for you because it does, data-wise, it shows that more users from EastQuag are using the service.
Right.
And that's good for you. So what I'll do is I'll share your website, and then our participants can take a look around and see some of the other things that you're offering as well. And some participants have asked if it'd be okay if they contact you if they have other questions. Would you mind putting your email address in?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
All right.
I can share it again if someone needs to, though. And
will you be able to send us your presentation with
yes, of course.
In there? Okay. And yeah, so if you are a component school district, I would reach out to your librarian first to see if you have an account, and this way when you're logging in you can use that login information so it captures it for your district. But if you don't and you want to borrow EastQuag's, you can we'll share Mandy's website and you can find the information there, and again it will capture data for EastQuag, and that's why you should check with your school district first.
Yeah. And again, even if you end up finding that you don't have that resource, or a resource that you see that I have that you don't, at least getting to practice on my page then you can say, you know, I borrowed it, I used it, I loved it. Is this something that we could purchase?
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And so the Britannica school that you were showing us, that's also part of the VRC, right?
Yes. Yep.
Is there a link that you can send us that would bring us right to the Britannica school in Escuela, or does that have to come from going into the VRC?
No, I can send you a link, but the link will be specific to the school. So if I'm giving you, I would have to give you my link and then my login. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if you just want to share your link, and then what I'll do is I'll put, share the link, and then if you want to share your library website page, that will help as well.
You got it.
Because I think that's what most people, that everyone's really interested in the resources that you shared, so thank you.
Great, you're welcome. I'm glad I could help. And again, sorry if I went too fast or something.
No,
but
no.
Feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
And ask any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mandy. And do you, one last thing, do you have any idea on how much the Pebble Go subscription costs?
I don't off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. But they may have, just like many of the other resources, they may have, I don't know off the top of my head, but they may have a free trial right now that you can take advantage of.
Yeah, they do, which is what that's what I'm doing.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
I can share that information as well.
All right. Thank you, Mandy.
You're welcome.
All right, so next we have Sandy, and I'm just going to share my screen for a moment, and then we will welcome Sandy. Let me just see if I can go backwards, sorry. Okay, so Sandy is from the Sagamore Middle School in the Sachem School District, and I saw her on here, I think. Sandy, are you ready to share?
I'm sorry, I was not in earlier because I didn't have the link. Because you spelled my last name is Bucher.
Oh, my apologies. Okay, yeah, we have the K here. My apologies. Okay. All right, so I will stop sharing, and then you can share. Would you like to share your screen?
I'm going to share my screen. It's just that I don't know what parts of the VRC that Mandy had looked at, because you know I was asked to talk about the VRC as well. So I don't want to duplicate something that she's already spoken about. Okay, so
yeah, we can take a look at whatever you had planned, and if it is something Mandy just showed, then we can tell you that. So thank you.
Okay. All right, and hang on, I just have to pull it up here. Nope. Okay. Sorry, I just have to get into a different screen. No, and okay, so I'm just selecting my school here. I don't know if you can.
Yes, and this is great too, because this shows you how you would log into the VRC.
Well, we have ours set up a little differently than some of the other school districts, because it used to be that you would go into the VRC and you'd pick a database and then it would ask you to log in. We found with our students, it was just easier if they logged in first and then picked their databases. So we had BOCES set that up for us. And I'm in middle school. We do use the VRC a lot in library. I've been talking to my ELL teachers, and they have tended not to be using so much of this, you know, outside of school with the distance learning. But these are resources that they have all used within school. And there's specific ones that we do use because, you know, it's like with anything, you use what you like more than others. So I don't know if Mandy had looked at Britannica School, because I know she looked at the Britannica Escolar.
Yes, she looked at Britannica School. She showed us the version in Spanish.
Oh, okay, because you can also use the English version. And then you can select your different levels. So I'm middle school, and one thing that we study in 7th grade is the American Revolution. So just to, this is going to give you a little different way of looking at it. So you have to select your article, and then you have different reading levels. So right now I'm in reading level 2. You can go lower if you have those students that need more support, or you can also go higher. But then we have our translate tool is up here. So they would click the world and then select their language. So I'm just going to use Spanish because that's most of our students. So you can see it translates very quickly into that. And then also if you kind of hover over a part of it, you'll see that you'll also get the English translation back. So if you are working with a student who's reading this in English and you kind of want to know what they are reading and you don't speak Spanish, this is a nice little tool. Okay, now that's found in the biography section, but it's also found in the encyclopedia section. A lot of the databases are found in multiple areas, just kind of to, for ease of use. So I won't look at the Britannica Escolar. So those are all found in here. Now World Book, did she look at World Book?
No, not World Book.
Okay, so in World Book, so we used to use this a lot. I tend to now use Britannica more, but this also has a couple of things. Now this one, the Banco de Contenidos a la Planeta, this is a database. This is brand new, so I don't even really know how to use it. Plus, I don't speak or read Spanish. But this, I do understand that this is a database and it has a lot of information in it. So, for someone who does speak, or read that language, this would be a good resource. So you can see it's got an atlas. It's got different tools for you to work, all about the human body. This one is an interesting one, the visual navigator, because you could just select one of their topics. So Da Vinci, and then it has related articles. So it's kind of shoots you off in different directions. It's kind of helpful when you're doing research if you have a main topic and then you want to maybe enhance or support what you're writing about. And then the other one that is in here is the Spanish Encyclopedia, and then this is all in Spanish as well. I find it to be a slightly lower level, so it is actually pretty good support in middle school as well. If they're struggling with anything. So if you went to history and government, you can find different articles. You can also do the your search. Now, if I looked up American Revolution, I can type it in English, but okay, yeah. Okay, so here we have the North American Revolution. And you can see that these are very short articles, but then they have related topics with them as well. And you can do your citations. So MLA, APA, Harvard, we use MLA in school, in our school district. And then, now these are a little harder, these databases, the ABC Clio. So this is more, we use this 8th grade. You do have to select your school because you do get credit with BOCES for using the databases. You know, that's why when you sign in, we get credit for those. So you can pick here. This is more guided, so a teacher would have to actually, you know, walk your students right through your different topics. But then you have a translate tool up here, and you select your language, and you can see it's limited to specific languages. And then it translates for you. Your citations as well. Okay, so you looked at Britannica. Culturegrams is also, if you're doing anything with geography, you could start with the kids edition. This is a interactive map. So let's say you're studying South America, maybe you're doing different countries, you're doing a background project, and then you can also just click the translate button here and then select your language. And it translates for you. If you find that this information is too simplistic, you can also go back to the home button and select the world view. And it functions the same way. Translate English to Spanish. But it has more information. Okay, so you have this nice sidebar as well for each category. Okay.
Sandy, we had a question about the resource before Culturegrams, the World's Book.
Yes.
Does it have the same access in other languages like Malayalam, or is it only limited to Spanish?
World Book is only Spanish. I'm wondering though, let's see if I remember. So we use the student version. All right, let's see. Read more, okay. Okay, so it looks as if there's a translate. If you go into the article, go to the cog, and then translate, and then select the language. Okay, now it has an ear here, so it should be able to read it. Select a paragraph in the text to listen.
La Revolución Americana,
Okay.
1775-1783.
Okay, so World Book Student has this ability then to translate. As I said before, we don't use it as much, so you know, we tend to use the Britannica more. Okay, and then okay, and did you look at Read It at all?
Read It? No, we did not look at Read It.
Okay, so just a little bit about Read It. It's a database. It's a little bit more, I won't say complicated, but again, you have to be guided through it first. So I'm just selecting one category here, and I'm going to select US history again, and Road to the American Revolution. So all of this part is in English. So then you have like a little abstract at the top. And then you have your article. Now they do have their translate tool is, oh, I'm going to lose it here. I've just moved this. Okay, on the right side, under tools, it's the bottom tool, translate. And then on the left side, you go back to your language here and click translate. They show you it's in process. And one thing that I do like about this, at the end of the article, and it's not for all articles, but they do have comprehension questions. So you could assign an article to a student and then ask them the questions. And then I think there was, okay. And basically everything else. And did you look at the Gale Informate?
We didn't look at that resource, and but I'm just looking to see here if we have any questions about the resources you've shared already.
Okay.
Since it's
oh, because you're over time, right?
And that's fine, because I know everyone. It's great when everyone can get together, and you're showing us some great resources. So thank you.
Okay.
But I think I think actually we did answer all the questions. Yeah. So just once again, for all the participants, especially if you are a component school district of Eastern Suffolk BOCES, you most likely do have a login and for the virtual reference collection. That's the VRC we've been referring to. So I would reach out to your librarian first to find out the login information if you don't have it. We can share, like Mandy said that she would not mind sharing her school website with us, and you can use her login information. But as Sandy mentioned, the district does get the credit and the data for logging in. So it would be great if you can log in with your district's credentials if you have it. And if you're a district administrator and this is something, the VRC is something that you're interested in, now that you've seen how teachers and media specialists are using the resources, then you would want to contact Carl Vidovich, and I'll put his email address in the chat to see if you can do some sort of cross contracting and get the VRC. Okay, or subscribe to the VRC. So I'll put his contact information in there for you. Are there any more questions? I think we answered most of the questions, and Mandy shared the Pebble Go login. Okay, that's all in the chat.
Denise, a quick question. Do students have access to all of that, all the resources that are there on the VRC?
I believe so, yeah. So it depends. It's and Sandy and Mandy, you can help me respond. I believe it's somewhat of an a la carte, right? So the school district will subscribe to the VRC and then subscribe to the different databases, right?
The databases are, everyone in ES BOCES has the same VRC, but if you have a elementary or secondary, they're going to have some slightly different databases, but there are ones that are in common.
Okay.
Only because my daughter's in Sachem, so I just want to make sure I have access to all those resources to look at them.
Which school?
Winona.
Oh, okay. So just contact the librarian there. Was that Kira Hart?
She's fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, she'll have that information for you. We're not allowed to put the passwords on our website.
No, I have access to it, but I didn't know if it was everything, because we've been doing only what they put in the classroom, but to have all that information would be great. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, great, Judy. Yeah, I also myself take away a lot of the resources that we're sharing together for my own kids as well.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
And I get more experience with it, and then we're able to share it. So, so I think we have answered most of our questions. I'm just going to share my screen again, because in order to confirm your attendance, you have already put your name in the chat. The second part of confirming the attendance is to complete our evaluation form. Why is it not sharing? Can you see my screen here? Let's see.
Okay.
Yes,
we do.
Denise, I saw a question about Hicksville in the VRC.
Okay.
They do not have the VRC as we have it in Eastern Suffolk BOCES.
Okay. Again, though, if it's something that you're interested in, share these resources with your data, with your district administrators and your building administrators, because it is something that they can subscribe to if you think it'll be very useful for all of your students. So to confirm your attendance, you've put your name in the chat. You also need to complete the evaluation form in My Learning Plan. So when you log into your My Learning Plan account, click on your learning plan, okay? And then go to today's activity. So my activities may be under approved or pending prior approval, but you want to look for the activity. I'll say Follow Up Friday, library resources, and next to it, either to the left or the right, it depends. It does change a little bit from district to district, but either to the left or the right of that event, you'll see a button that says Manage. So once you click Manage, it'll bring you to the next screen. And what I've done here is I've scrolled down a little bit, and where it says Actions, and you'll find one of the choices is a session workshop evaluation form. So when you click on that, it will bring you to the evaluation form, and you can complete it there. Once we see that it's been completed, we will confirm your attendance. We will see it was completed. We won't see your actual evaluation form. Okay, so you should be able to do that. That's available immediately, and that's it, really. I mean, it's 1:13, but if you have any other questions, we're still here. I know Melanie, Sandy, and Mandy are still here. So if you have any questions, yep. I'll take a look at the chat, or if you wanted to unmute yourself, you can do that as well. All right, I think.
Thank you for everything.
All right, no problem. Thank you, Judy, for joining us. Stephanie, you have a question? Is it a question that do you want to unmute?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's just a quick question about the corresponding Tune-In Tuesday that went with this. Was it called Resource